Hi everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back with another video, and this time we tackle my July Retro Wrestling pay-per-view. And for the month of July, I chose WWE Vengeance 2002 from the Joe Louis Arena. Took place July 21st, 2002. This is centered around a main event for the WWE Undisputed Championship between The Rock, Kurt Angle, and The Undertaker. Definitely regarded as one of my favorite triple threat matches of all time. There have been a lot of great triple threat matches, but this one is a great match. But I will get into that a little bit later when I talk about the main event. Now, you have two commentary teams on this show. The first half being called by Michael Cole and Taz, and the second half of the show being called by Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross. So, there you go. So, we get to the first half of the show. Our first match is Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit taking on Bubba Ray Dudley and Spike Dudley in a tables elimination match. Very fun match here. Both Guerrero and Benoit technically sound guys against two guys who are more or less street fighters in Bubba Ray Dudley and Spike Dudley. And this is a tables elimination tag team matchup. Bubba and Spike do win. This is a match that they were in their environment. So, overall, a great match. A really good match to start off the show. Next up, we get a match between Jamie Noble with Nydia defeating Billy Kidman to retain the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Not the purple belt, but the Ruthless Aggression era version that lasted until 2007. Yep, you heard me right. That belt lasted until 2007, and it was killed off when it was given to a certain little bastard who will not be mentioned. Overall, still a great match between Noble and Kidman. Next up, we are also greeted to some segments from WWE The World in Manhattan, New York. The World was formerly known as WWF New York, but in 2002 it later changed its name to The World, and you get the idea. Next up we got Jeff Hardy versus William Regal for the European Championship. Jeff Hardy versus William Regal for the European Championship. Not really that good of a match. I like both of these guys. I think William Regal, I can basically call him the most underrated wrestler of his generation, and I love Jeff Hardy, but this match, on this night and on this match, it wasn't really that good of a matchup. I mean, yet these two are really unique on their own right, but even so, this was the last pay-per-view that featured the European Championship. Ever since the European title came about when it was created back in 1997. But in 2002, it got absorbed by the Intercontinental Championship when we get to an episode of Raw that took place in the build-up to SummerSlam. Next up, in his WWE pay-per-view debut, John Cena defeats Chris Jericho. And yeah, this is the last match on the first half of Vengeance, which was being called by Michael Cole and Taz. John Cena in his debut defeats the likes of Chris Jericho, rolling Jericho up for the 1-2-3. Not that bad of a match, but again, Cena wasn't. It's going to take a while for Cena to find his footing here, since this was, basically the fact that John Cena just made his debut for the company, and automatically he hasn't clicked yet. So, yeah, this was And John Cena, when he came out to wrestle, back in 2002, before he became the rapper gimmick, he came out wearing these generic-looking trunks, and he had this generic-looking bad haircut. Yeah. Next up, we get the second half of Vengeance being called by Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, and there's a lot of talk about which brand Triple H would be on. Would he stay on SmackDown, or will he go to Raw? And, well, there's a lot of... Well, in this segment, Stephanie McMahon and Eric Bischoff were in the middle of the ring with Triple H, and this was like a contract signing, and both sides prevented an argument... basically gave their arguments very convincingly, until Shawn Michaels came around and convinced Triple H to come to Raw. And, well, Triple H decided to go to Raw, thanks in part to Shawn Michaels. So, yeah, throughout the first half of the Ruthless Aggression, mostly through the Ruthless Aggression era, Triple H and Stephanie went their own separate ways. I mean, nowadays they're still together, and yeah, but back then, they were on separate shows, but yeah, we still see them on in the same show, but yeah, but back in the 2000s, they were pretty much on different brands, especially in 2002 and onward. Next up, we get our next match on the show. We feature a one-sided matchup between Booker T and The Big Show. A very, very one-sided matchup this was. Booker T just completely dominates The Big Show in this match. Nothing more to be said here. Next up, we get a match for the Intercontinental Championship as Rob Van Dam defends the Intercontinental Championship against Brock Lesnar. Now, 2002 was Brock Lesnar's year. I mean, this was the year that had a lot of debuts and returns, and in-ring wise was one of the best in-ring performances that WWE has ever done. Sure, a lot of years have tried to top it, but that's the key word, meaning tried. Not that there weren't, and heck, there were still some good pay-per-views after 2002, but more or less, we'll focus on that for another time. But, yeah, Booker T completely just dominates The Big Show. My favorite part of this match is when Booker T does the scissor kick on the announce table, putting Big Show through the announce table. Booker T beats The Big Show. Nothing more to be said here. Or, I mean, Rob Van Dam versus Brock Lesnar, I'm sorry. This match was good for what it was. It was Rob Van Dam winning via disqualification, and Paul Heyman pulled the referee out in the middle of this match. Nothing more to be said here. Next up, we get a tag team match for the WWE Tag Team Championships, or World Tag Team Championships, if you will, as the champions, Edge and Hollywood Hulk Hogan, of all people, lose the titles to Lance Storm and Christian of the Un-Americans. Basically, yeah, Hulk Hogan in the latter half of his wrestling career in the 2000s, quote-unquote, tag-teamed with Edge. And yes, in his frickin' 50s, won the tag team titles with Edge of all people. 2002 was still Edge's year. I mean, Edge himself had a great 2002 with those matches with Kurt Angle, and later had that show, that best match of 2002 when he tag teamed with Rey Mysterio to take on Angle and Benoit, No Mercy. It was still a good showing from Edge here, but not much to be said here. Edge still loses this match, and he takes the fall because I think it was either Storm or Christian who gets the pinfall on Edge on this match. Nothing more to be said here. Next, we got The Rock. In the main event, The Rock defeating The Undertaker and Kurt Angle for the WWE Undisputed Championship in an amazing triple threat match. This match, I would say, is one of my favorite matches. I would say I put this match in my list of favorite Rock matches, my favorite list of Undertaker matches, and even Kurt Angle matches. I love this triple threat match so much. Angle, Undertaker and Rock use each other's moves against one another, and it is awesome. We even see Undertaker use a chair shot on Angle and bust Angle open. We see The Rock doing a choke slam on The Undertaker. Basically, Rock using Undertaker's choke slam on The Undertaker himself. Priceless. And Kurt Angle, we even see him do the Rock Bottom. I mean, this show was awesome. And rightfully so. Definitely one of the most underrated WWE pay-per-views I've ever watched. Vengeance 2002 was awesome, and it also had a great theme song by Trust Company, which is Downfall. It's awesome, and it's great. Look up the song Downfall by Trust Company, or Trust Company's Downfall. I am your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'll see you next time.